Today, we asked the BBC to come up with the intro to this ChillPoint. They said, no.
Makes sense, really. They got their own stuff to do.
Yeah, I mean, we probably...
We're lucky they even responded.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Twice.
Like, we repeated, we please stop making us part of this bit.
Yeah.
We are not one of your comedy bits. We are legitimately a news organization. Hey, everybody. Welcome to ChillPoint, the show where we talk about all the video game news that we want to talk about.
And there was none.
Good night.
The end. Krell credits.
Also, we talked about the episode of ChillPoint that went up yesterday.
Oh, I guess we did do one of those. I
Yeah.
guess we could talk about that.
Now we're in for we're in for a little bit of a short show because the draft is pending tonight.
It's true. We have a draft starting early tonight. So
Wait, that's tonight? We're doing the employee draft tonight?
Yes.
I wasn't prepared for my speech of whose team I should be on.
I
I didn't get nominated captain this year.
Yeah, you didn't make captain, so yeah, you're gonna get picked. I'm hoping
Yeah.
to be picked last.
just who's on whose team?
We're doing 3 teams this year, right? We decided 2 wasn't enough?
Yeah. 2 teams and then a backup team.
Yeah. Because, yeah, when one of those teams goes down, we need another
Yeah.
team to fill in.
Anyway, let's talk about some news. We actually had quite a few stories in the actual. We had 5 stories in the episode
Yeah.
of Checkpoint this week.
With the coming up that makes 6.
That's true.
Yeah.
Starting with Sony canceling a couple games, which obviously isn't normally news. Games get canceled all the time. But this was slightly significant in that, for one thing, they canceled 2 different games at the same time.
Right.
And they are both, or they are both, apparently were live service games.
Right. The kind of like you get this for free or for a reduced cost, and then you pay money to continue playing it over a period of time.
Yes.
Sometimes.
And with the idea that new content is being sort of added. as
Usually
it goes.
subscription-based battle passes.
Right.
Yeah.
That
That
style
kind
of
of
thing,
thing.
where the game might even just be free to play forever, but it's still like you
Might
buy
be,
battle
or
pass.
it might not be. It might be something you have to pay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But part of the reason why this is particularly relevant for Sony is that you may recall, I think we probably mentioned it a couple months ago. Sony was talking about how, despite Concord, and I think
Another live service game.
and I guess Kill the Justice League
Suicide
was also,
Squad?
or Suicide Squad was also theirs.
Right.
Maybe? I don't
Maybe
know.
I get lost in the
Anyway,
amount.
despite that, they were sort of doubling down, and the articles that I saw were something like Sony is planning on releasing like 10 live service games by 2026.
Which makes sense. So they want to clear the decks of any live service games that might get in the way of them releasing more live service games.
Right.
Yeah, because live service games are the future, despite the fact that they
This was like
keep failing.
in 2023 or something, like the end of 2023 that they said this, or
or I think
maybe mid. So before we had the great get rid of everybody year.
It's true.
I
That's
feel
true.
like, I think this actually makes a lot of sense. Last year they got rid of everybody. This year they'll get rid of all the games because there won't be people to make them.
Right. So if nobody around to make a game, and then no games that you can get, everyone
Yeah.
will just have to give Sony money.
Now we
That's
our
called,
business model.
Yeah, what
it's
if we
called
give
the Premium Plus package or whatever
Yeah.
thing.
so Bend Studio and BluePoint were the two studios that were theoretically working on something that got canceled. Now we don't know how long these games were in development, but I believe we know it was at least like a year or longer
Right.
because of when they were announced and stuff. And it is just like, BluePoint was making had made the PS5 Demon Souls remake that everyone quite liked.
Mm-hmm.
So people thought that they might be working on something for Bloodborne, but apparently they
I
weren't.
think the dream for Bloodborne Remastered is dead.
Apparently so.
And if it ever happens, then you can be excited again.
And then Ben Studio had made Siphon Filter, Days Gone,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know, who knows what's going on behind the scenes here. I don't know if this is similar. It feels a little bit like when with like Redfall,
Mm-hmm.
when where Microsoft got like Arcane Studio. Is it Arcane, isn't it? Yeah. Who had previously made the Prey game and a bunch of really great single player games to try to make this like multiplayer squad shooter vampire thing. And it sucked.
Right.
And then they're sort of like, well, you made a game that sucked, so you're canceled. And so it feels like that same thing. It's like, we want you to make this game. And they're like, we don't know how to make, this is not the kind of game we're good at making.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, but this is the kind of game that we want to make now because this is the future.
Right.
So do it.
You have to
and they're
pivot.
like, okay, I guess we'll try. And then they're like, no, this game that you didn't know how to make, but we forced you to sucks.
Mm-hmm.
So go away.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, they haven't said that there's going to be any layoffs yet. There haven't been any direct thing. Hopefully, they'll find somewhere else to put them.
I do think it's neat. Like, it's the SteamWorld games. Every time they make a new game, they put that, like, they do kind of a different genre of game usually.
Right.
And I do think that concept can be really neat, where you take a thing you already have and you do something different with it, or you do whatever with it. At the same time, I can't imagine anyone who wants to play, was it God of War that was supposed to get a live service game?
Apparently,
I can't imagine anyone who
it was like an
enjoys the
online
God of War games wants that.
Yeah. I mean, how I guess they could just like add gods one by one or something. I don't know.
I keep trying to I'm parsing this, trying to figure out how this works, because I don't know how many studios, like little sub studios, that Sony owns. Right? That when the idea of like, we might refer to that as a first party or second party type situation, right? Where it's like Sony owns a bunch of studios, but they operate at arm's length of Sony, and it's like, your job is to make stuff solely for us. We own your ass, but you get to dance around with it however you want, kind of idea. Or if it's like, we're going to prescribe to you that you have to make these games, because the idea of like Sony saying we're internally canceling these two games
Right.
from these two studios, and by doing that, they have essentially said that all this work that you've done, we're throwing out the window, and we're wondering whether or not the studios are going to get shut down. And there's that question of like, well, if Sony owns the studios, then I guess they might come along and be like, oh, we're going to shutter your games, and therefore
what is the point of you?
yeah, what is the point of you, right?
Yeah.
Or do we divide you up and ship you off to different studios like we're fucking like baseball teams or something? Like I'm trying to understand I mean, that would almost be fairer, right? In a way. I mean, at least they have a union, but
it does happen sometimes when a studio gets shuttered that's owned by a larger company. Sometimes it's not like the people at the studio go away; they get sometimes transferred to other places.
But I don't even know. Does Sony actually own these two studios outright? Was that brought up, or is this more of a like
I
we
believe
have a
they-
huge controlling interest?
I believe
think they
these are
actually own these
first-party
ones.
studios.
Okay. Yeah, it just seemed very odd to me to be talking about like, oh well, Sony canceled these 2 games. I'm like, that would suck, especially if you were waiting to get paid for making the game. But if it's literally like they've been paying our salaries for the last 4 years when making the game, and then they cancel the game, it's like, well, at least everybody got paid up until now. But yeah, your future is not.
Well, that's the problem with a lot of things, right? It's like if a game gets canceled, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. That kind of stuff happens all the time. Pitches
Sure.
don't go anywhere. That stuff happens, but it's not. A lot of the time, it doesn't seem like, oh well, we grabbed together a group of people to make this specific game.
Right.
We're canceling that game, so now we're making a different group to do something else, or we're doing. It's like, oh, the studio didn't do whatever. Well, guess it's time for them to go away forever.
Yeah, I
and
guess.
I'm like, that's what.
It just feels like that we those are the, I mean, that's coverage that we end up doing, right? It's like, oh, this studio that's well known for these amazing games that they made 20 years ago ultimately end up getting acquired by a studio, which gets acquired by another studio, and then that studio gets acquired by another studio, and you're like, yeah, the team that originally worked on the original System Shock or whatever is still out there, they're roaming among the wastelands,
Hiding
working
in
on
the
other shit,
woods.
and we don't really know what they're up to these days. But it's like, but whenever they make like, oh, there's a new game from the makers from the team that brought you System Shock. It's like, what is this match 3 game? Fuck, okay.
I mean,
like we're not really getting what we expect to get out of these people.
I have watched videos and things where someone will be like, okay, so this old game that you knew about that you think this person did
Yeah.
was also made by this other person
Yeah.
who mysteriously disappeared after this game came out and had wanted nothing to do with video games. Now I went looking and nobody can confirm if they're alive or that they exist or that they've ever existed. And I'm like, okay,
That's
all right.
You're talking about the dude behind Final Fantasy.
Not that one
You're not
specifically.
talking about the dude behind
No,
Final
there's
Fantasy.
another one.
Oh, apparently there's a whole thing recently about the genius programmer who is Polish American, I think, and I might have that wrong, Hungarian American maybe. He's responsible for the bulk of the coding behind the first 3 Final Fantasy games. The bulk of the coding. That's like this might have been a Japanese idea, but they never would have made it if it wasn't for this American guy who could actually pull off the coding.
No, I can't remember what game it was, but it was a Japanese developer
Cool.
that I'm thinking of. But yeah,
Sorry, quick quote here from Sony. Asked for comment or whatever. They say Bend and Bluepoint are highly accomplished teams who are valued members of the PlayStation Studios family. And we are working closely with each studio to determine what their next project is.
I don't think corporations should be allowed to use the word family anymore.
Nasir Gabelli, that's his name, and he was Iranian American, I think, is what I'm thinking of. But anyway.
Like you can say that they're part of the Sony studios and stuff, but I don't
Conglomerate.
I don't think they should be allowed to use terms like family anymore.
Yeah.
It's a little dysfunctional family.
Mm-hmm.
That's every family as far as I know.
So maybe it's
Those of
actually
you who have normal
legitimate.
families, awesome. Very happy for you.
All right. Speaking of things that are dysfunctional, so this is one of these interesting stories where it's actually a much larger story, but the video game sort of lens on it kind of goes into it small. So obviously TikTok got banned in America at the beginning of the week.
For 17 hours, yeah.
And then it got brought back, or
It has a stay of
a
execution.
stay of execution.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so because there were several comments about this, and I mean, I'm not going to go look because I don't want a TikTok.
Yeah.
But my understanding is you can log in, but it's not back up on the App Store.
Yeah.
Is what some people
okay.
were saying.
So Apple and Google, because of the way the law is, that they're like, this has been banned, and they're like, yeah, but we don't have to enforce it for X number of days. And so Apple and Google are like, right, but the law literally states this now, so we are going to comply with the law, which means that we're going to pull it off the store
And I
because we don't want to run into trouble in
But
90 days
there-
because we've been selling it
There
for
were
90
comments
days.
that said that was also the same with stuff like Marvel Snap.
Right.
And
So
that's story.
which is what we're going to more focus on because you can figure out TikTok on your own.
So the deal is that but this idea that, TikTok was targeted by this sort of takedown thing because of various reasons, but one of the main reasons was like fear that it was messing with people's data and all this kind of stuff. But this was actually targeted towards ByteDance, which is the company that develops TikTok. What people didn't really, and it's not that nobody knew, like it wasn't a secret, but nobody really got the implications of this, including the companies involved, apparently, was that ByteDance also publishes a bunch of other games.
Right.
Or other games, including Marvel Snap. Or they own the company that publishes Marvel Snap. So again, not the developer.
This is the publisher.
Yeah.
Right. They don't.
Marvel Snap is developed by Second Dinner, which is an American-owned company.
And then it's published by
Newverse,
which is owned by ByteDance.
which is owned by ByteDance.
Right.
And so when ByteDance got blocked or whatever,
Got bitten.
the sort of knock-on effect is that Marvel Snap got taken out. And apparently, this was a surprise to Second Dinner, who had previously been sort of assured that it wasn't going to be an issue.
That's what it sounds like, yes.
And I like somebody in the comments did mention that it's like everyone saying like, well, they should have known they're part of the same company. It's like they're saying like if you've ever worked in a big company with lots of subsidiaries, they don't talk to each. It's actually harder to get information from subsidiaries of your own company than it is to get information from other companies.
I've talked to people who have worked at the same company, and they don't know the name of the company that they work at sometimes because the name changes or it gets bought by someone or thing. And you're telling me that they'll just know that this knock-on effect will definitely happen.
There's a famous instance of, I think it was the Comedy Network or Comedy Central. The American one is Comedy Central, I think.
Yes.
They did a parody thing of something from a different network. I forget what it was now, but and
It's like a station ident of some sort.
Or they did like a parody thing, and they got in trouble. Like the other network was like, "Hey guys, or they got like copyright suit, whatever not DMCA, whatever the real version of the actually sued."
Yeah.
They're like for a copyright violation. It went back and forth for a while, went into arbitration. And then they realized that they were both actually owned by the same parent company.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I've worked jobs where things happen and you're just like, oh, okay, that thing's happening over there, and then a notice shows up, like a memo's been sent out, and you find out that also affects you. The thing that you thought was way over there is actually part of whatever you're in.
Anyway. So Marvel Snap got taken out because of this thing. Marvel Snap is now back, although apparently it came TikTok came back, and then Marvel Snap actually took a while to come back after that. At least judging by what people were talking about in the forums and subreddit and stuff. And there was a lot of, I didn't have to go very far, and Kathleen mentioned it. You don't have to go very far to see a lot of like conspiracy theory stuff about like, they should have known that this was going to happen.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Maybe they were trying to do this. Maybe there was some deliberate reason why they didn't want to tell anybody that this was going to happen, or
they did this to attract Disney's attention.
There's some additional level of malfeasance involved here, but I'm willing to think that they're certainly, and as Kathleen said, they're like in the process of like an event right now.
Yeah.
So clearly they wouldn't want to be
Yeah.
taken offline for no reason.
Yeah.
Generally, when it comes to conspiracy theories of this ilk, it's very, I'm angry about a thing, and therefore they must have known because things can't happen accidentally that would make me angry.
And what I do find interesting about this is Second Dinner, because I mean, Second Dinner is being published by Newverse, who is owned by ByteDance. So Second Dinner doesn't really have any connection to ByteDance.
No.
Like they have no loyalty to ByteDance.
Yeah.
I guess they probably have some to Newverse, but ByteDance they don't care about. And so that it's frustrating for them that they're getting hosed by something that they feel like they have no part in.
Yeah.
And so they have announced, they said Marvel Snap is back online in the U.S. We to make sure this never happens again, we are looking to bring more services in-house and partner with a new publisher. So they are publicly saying that they are planning on dropping their current publisher.
I appreciate what they're trying to do. I think phrases like "so this never happens again."
They put never.
There is kind
they put
of
never in all caps. This
there's
never
kind of,
happens again.
There are certain things outside of your control. This was like literally one of them.
Mm-hmm.
If we're going to be knocked offline and banned in the United States, we want it to be because of something we did.
Sure, absolutely. But like you have to find a new publisher unless you're going to like do everything yourself, which is maybe a rough way to go. I don't know that you can say, "Oh, never."
I wonder how this game got made. Because
Well, you see, Beige.
like
When-
I don't. Did they make their own engine or did they?
well, I wonder, I mean, who shopped what for who? Like, did somebody at Marvel Studios in like the games division, did they turn around at some point, or like maybe Disney Studios in the games division was like, we've got Marvel all over the place and we want to get it out. We want to make multiple video games and we have like a video game strategy to do things. We want to have like Marvel Rivals and Marvel Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy and like all those kind of things. We also want to make Marvel Snap. We want to make like a game that's like a collectible card game style feeling thing, whatever. Did they come up with that idea and then and be like, now we need to find someone who can turn this into a game because we have a concept, but we don't even have a game. So we go after somebody who can like try to find publishers or developers who can actually do it. And then they find a developer and the developer's like, yeah, cool. We have the contract. We'll make the game. And then the developer takes point and says, I'll go find a publisher. Or does...
So there's probably a division either at Marvel or maybe Disney, but probably at Marvel for this case, that is in charge of this kind of thing. And either they go looking for people to make games that they want to exist because they want Marvel properties in a variety of places to help sell the brand, or this studio sent them a pitch and paid for licensing.
But it's probably likely that they didn't say, we want to make this suite of games and who do we talk to? Oh, this publisher here has a lot of experience publishing this style of game, so I'm going to go talk to them and say, who would you recommend should make my game for me? And the publisher's like, yeah, we think this studio would be great. We'll contact them and we'll get the work.
I mean,
underway.
maybe if you're a publisher that already works with a studio, you might do that. But
yeah,
chances are good it's a dev group that also went and found a publisher.
Just I'm trying to understand, like the understanding of like Second Dinner says, oh, we'll go with Newverse for this. Why not? They're giving us a really good deal. We're getting a really good cut. And then they're like, we're not going to stick with them because we want to change publishers. Because if it was like Marvel's relationship with Newverse that got Second Dinner involved and Second Dinner's like, we're going to change publishers, I'd be like, well, does Marvel have anything to say about that? Do they? Should they? Like,
I mean, that depends on their level of involvement, but chances are good it's the dev who decides all of that and they're just paying a license or they already have a relationship with Marvel.
Yeah.
I'm surprised, frankly, that Disney doesn't have its own game publishing arm. It seems like the kind of thing that they would want to do in-house, but anyway. My new theory is that they were like, all right, let's ban TikTok.
Right.
TikTok is bad, and everyone was on board with that. But it turns out a large number of members of Congress are big Marvel Snap players.
Ah, yes.
And so they're like, oh no, what do we do? Bring it back, bring it back, bring it back.
The people at Second Dinner had previous relationship with Marvel. They started the company knowing they would have access to the characters. When Brody left Blizzard, they already had an idea for the game, is what I see in chat. So if that is the case, all right. So they were working off of previous relationships that they had with Marvel directly.
A lot of groups do.
Yeah.
You don't just start a company not knowing anyone at Marvel and go up to Marvel.
It's true.
I feel in this day and age.
All right, let's talk about how much do you think you should pay for video games?
Which one?
Say just as a random potential one, GTA 6.
Oh, well, I wouldn't pay anything because I don't want to play GTA 6.
So Heather thinks that GTA 6 should be free for everyone to play.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'm afraid...
You're at odds with...
yeah, I'm afraid Matthew Ball
Well-
has a slightly different opinion.
Well, I have a place he could probably get kicked. It's in his name.
It's Ball, is it? Okay.
So, yeah, here we go. So there's this, and we got a lot of this a couple years ago when video game prices made the last sort of jump up. And I know,
You spent some time concentrating on the $70 jump.
yeah, and I know lots of people in the comments, and as Canadians, we feel it too. Who are like $70 jump. How about $100?
Yeah.
We've been paying $80, $90, $100 for video games.
We pay close to, in BC, a $70 American game is closer to, well, even like a $60 is closer to $100 by the time we have the taxes and everything added on to the price.
Generally what they'll do, so a lot of the ways that it works in terms of, for people who don't know how the exchange rate stuff affects other countries, is that prices don't float. Prices are set, because it would be awkward to have in Canada or Australia or anywhere else to have the price constantly changing all the time depending on where you're pinned against the dollar. So what happens is that the distributors have to say, this iPad is now worth this much money, or this video game is worth this much money. And they just set those prices based on the percentage that they feel that the dollar is going to fluctuate against for a while, so that you don't. So they're basically playing arbitrage on like a long.
Yeah.
And then every once in a while they'll be like, well, the exchange rate is such that we're going to have to raise everything by $5.
Yeah. But it's almost never, we're back at par. Well, we better adjust that to make sure that 500 US is 500
that
Canadian.
price
It's
always
weird the
goes
way
up.
that happens.
Weird that
Never
happens.
goes back down.
Never goes back down.
Yeah, so we had that comment. It was especially like I saw some Australians
and New Zealand
and
folks, yeah.
and
Yeah, we feel
a
ya.
couple Europeans, I believe.
I mean,
for
historically,
that idea.
yeah, Australians and New Zealand has been particularly screwed over by the video game prices.
The other one, the other comment that comes up quite a bit is most games are already past that point because of how many times we have collector's editions that are generally over $100 or
DLCs,
DLC
or
that you kind of
season passes
need to finish the game and whatnot.
Now, yeah, and so anyway, but then again, the other part of this discussion that came up, that a lot of industry folks try to push the conversation in when the last jump happened, is that taking into account inflation, it actually has been going down.
Yes.
Which is true, but also
It doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter because
we
it's
haven't been at that $70 price point for that long.
But also wages also haven't been rising enough to meet this kind of idea. For everybody, so that your purchasing power of $1 is greater today than it was in the past, I believe. But also the amount of dollars you get hasn't risen enough to meet the amount of inflation. So it's like saying one thing and not saying the other means that you're ignoring a major part of. So
Anyway,
Because the $70 price point was when the PS5 came out, wasn't it?
2020.
When stuff
something around
started
there, yeah.
to hit that, and then like there was a huge deal when Tears of the Kingdom was going to be $70,
Yep.
Yeah.
right? And I'm not sure. Are Nintendo games all at 70 now? Because I thought they were still mostly at 60.
Like
except for
first
that
party
one.
Nintendo games.
Yeah.
They change. Nintendo has done a lot of like, well, this game is a $7 game, but then this other game is a $60 game.
Yeah.
It's not quite.
But it's not like across the board.
Yeah.
You know that when this game comes out,
Nintendo's
it's probably as much.
Nintendo changes it a lot. They'll be like, we put $60 worth of effort in this.
Because my
But then this
understanding
game
was
is $10
people
better
were
than the
waiting for
previous
like
one.
the next Nintendo console to come out to then see, because that's usually when they like to do the price, like gaming companies like to do a price jump when a new console hits because it's like
New technology.
new technology, and I feel like they think they can slip it in there and people won't notice.
Just thumb that in.
I remember when we went from 50 to 60, and it just kind of happened
Yeah.
on the shelves. Nobody said boo.
So anyway, this story is primarily about this idea that GTA 6 is going to be coming out soon. And the industry is excited or hoping that it's going to be priced at a higher number, maybe $100, maybe $90, with the idea that it's such a high profile release that they can say, you know, they have the sort of the industry, the market power to force that. And then everybody else can be like, well, we can, you know, pull up our $50 game can now be $60 because they're more expensive. Like everybody
Yeah.
can move up a little bit.
Yeah, because
So-
you're
Without getting as much backlash.
you're waiting for someone to make the first jump, because then that's the whole courage thing I
his
mentioned.
name was his name was Matthew.
Matthew Ball. Yeah.
But Mom, Matthew can put his games out for $90. Why can't I?
There is a sense of, yeah, everybody else just being like, well, that's what the new norm is of the industry, and we're just doing a thing that's normal in the industry. And I'm like, if you want to do something that's normal in the industry, you make GTA go first, and then everybody's like, just be like, oh, they priced it $100, and then don't price yours at $100. Just be like, wow, that's super weird of you to do that, you know. Like that's very Christmas joke exchange
Yeah.
from Colin Jost and Michael Che being like, whoa, why would you do that? That's awful, you know, like.
It's and so we did a shoulder graphic of this, but it's might be worthwhile to look at too. This is from this
This and the next one are both very good, I think.
is from this presentation that this Matthew Ball industry analyst type guy, which to be honest, I love this graph. You can see there. So it's best-selling package games of all time by unit sales: Minecraft, GTA 5, PUBG, everything else.
We stopped listing them.
I have issue with this because Minecraft, multiple platforms, multiple years being manufactured, you know, over multi platforms, 300 million games, 300 million units sold. Fair enough. Packaged, units sold, whatever. GTA 5, again, another game that 200 million sold. Okay. But again, over how many years, like a decade or whatever that this thing's been selling for, multiple platforms, multiple whatevers. Where's Skyrim?
I gotta say, yeah,
I think it's on a fridge right now.
That's what I mean. It's on everything. Why is it not beat PUBG?
I'm surprised at PUBG being up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, like, I'm a little surprised as somebody who was kind of a fan of GTA.
Yeah.
I didn't like
5.
5.
Okay.
In fact, I didn't like 4.
What was the last one you liked?
I mean, I like the San Andreas and the 3, the GTA 3 series, I guess it was, because
Okay.
there's GTA 3 and San Andreas and Vice City and those ones. I got GTA 4 for free. It came with my console,
I was
and I
waiting
haven't
for
played it.
Paul to be like, I didn't like GTA 5. I didn't like GTA 4.
I need to
I
tell
agree.
people.
Either
Okay.
actually
or
don't
2.
like GTA.
The first one, though.
Sorry, I need to interrupt because I need to correct chat because everyone's going off on a wild thing. Unit sales, not
Yeah.
How many of these games did they sell? Not how many they sold them for. So GTA 5 sold 200 million copies at random prices, doesn't matter what. That's what this guy's making a point of, is that GTA sells this many, so why wouldn't GTA 6 be seen as selling this many? We can talk about prices all we want after the fact.
Yeah, that's probably why you don't get Fortnite in there, though, because Fortnite
It's not packaged.
It's not packaged. It's not. You don't buy Fortnite.
But
you buy DLC and things for Fortnite.
Yeah, this
they-
is specifically packaged games.
Yeah, that you had to go to a sort of store, even if it was an online store. You're going to an online store to like make a purchase of something, I think, because I don't think you claim that package sales of Minecraft would not include online purchases of Minecraft.
So like
No.
here's
You're
graph.
free to plays at that point.
Here's the graph of, so this is nominal price, so the price on the actual bill, so $40, $50, going up,
55,
up.
60.
But then real price based on
Value of dollars today.
value of dollars today. So apparently, a $40 game back in 1979 was like over $200.
Yeah. Of our money today, that it would have been that, and it's like, okay, this is the thing about, this is a reason why I took a whole bunch of economics when I was in university and why I did not pursue it as a thing. Is that net present value just drives me up the fucking wall.
There's a lot of things about economics that's really
And
annoying.
so, in the other examples he's showing here, movie ticket price has actually maintained relative stability versus inflation,
Yeah.
or it's gone up relatively normally. Concert price has gone up despite inflation, which I think we all know.
Yep.
And Netflix is also a problem.
It's tracking the same kind of thing.
Netflix has actually been going up relative to inflation, which is also not good. So yeah, in real terms, a $70 GTA 6 would be the cheapest GTA ever.
Yeah. This is hateful.
But it's using that it's like I can really see the executives coming out being like, yeah, we're selling this for $90
Yeah.
or $80 or whatever. But if you think about it,
Yeah.
it's actually cheaper. And it's like,
I don't need that
I'm like-
kind of smug attitude as
Yeah.
a vibe in 2025.
Because it's like, and the thing is though, it's because it's like, I don't live in 1993. I live in 2025. I have the dollars that are in front of me. And when you're asking me to spend $70, $80, $100 on a product, I have to evaluate with the money I have in hand.
if you think about it, you're actually stealing from us.
Yeah.
in 93, I think maybe I got $5 a month for allowance. So yes, my money is definitely worth a lot more now because I make more of it.
Yeah. But the idea of like, oh well, you get paid $25 an hour today. Well, that would have been worth $150 in 1979. It's like, I guess. So what does that say about what I can do with my money now? Because I can't do anything. I can't do $150 worth of shit like with my money now. With $25 today, I can barely buy eggs.
Yeah, you can't really hardly buy any groceries for $25.
Yeah. So this is more of a the story flips past, like it's like, oh, they're waiting for everyone to do this, and then there's a bit of editorializing, a lot of editorializing. I wrote the story, but it's like, fine, go ahead, let's see what happens.
Yeah, it'd be awkward if GTA 6 sucks.
Or what if it was really good but it didn't matter?
Yeah.
Right? The whole point of the marketplace is that if you outprice what people want to buy, then no one will buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, if
Especially for a luxury good.
if it comes down to it, and Switch 2 comes out, we buy a Switch 2, new Mario game comes out, new Zelda game comes out or whatever, and Nintendo says we're pricing it at $90
Metroid
American.
Prime 4 finally ever comes out.
Yeah, and they say we're pricing it at $90 American. I'm going to take a deep breath, but I'm probably also going to buy it. And that's because everything about everything about where I have been led with those games has been, to me, it's like whatever you have been paying for those games has been worth it it has paid itself off in spade, over and over, right? Like I'm always feeling like I'm getting money's worth out of playing a thing, even as the price has gone up. There's going to be obviously a point where it's like I can't spend $250 on a game,
But
because that's crazy making. But it feels like I'm in a position where even now I'm still like I can afford to do that, so I will continue to do that for games that I want. But for every game in the industry, you got to be able to say, does everybody want your game? How many people do want your game ultimately that they're willing to pay that price? Because now we're back on economics, right? Your supply and demand curves, at some point you have to reach an equilibrium point. And if you are beyond it on one side of the curve, you're not going to sell as many as you think you're going to be able to. But that's fine, because in 7 months, you'll just lower the price of the game.
like I said, I got GTA 4 as a bundle with my
Yeah.
console.
Yeah, I can play it for free on Netflix.
There's a lot of games that people
Except the price of
people
Netflix has also gone up according to that graph.
It's supposed to go up again according to something else I saw. So
I know. I saw that, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, obviously, in some ways, we're clowning on this like one guy
Yeah.
who did this article, but
It's very easy,
who did
though.
this thing. The point is that that is a feeling that is indicative of a larger thing within the
I'm just
industry.
saying he's very low hanging fruit.
Well, he's rubbing a crystal ball, and one of he had like 9 things as game engines for the or not game engines,
Yeah.
but engines to drive growth in the industry, and one of them was the GTA 6 price, and not just like. He didn't say there has to be a highly anticipated game in the industry that has to sell. We don't know what that is yet, but if it does, it should price itself at higher than 60 in order to break that wall. But he picked GTA 6, and it's like, okay, so he thinks because everybody else thinks GTA 6 should be the one.
Or GTA 6 comes out and they're like $40 game.
Oh my God. Could you imagine?
I could actually.
Seismic.
I could, depending on what additional money, like DLC and like
Yeah.
if they want to do battle passes and things.
Yeah.
I could totally see them doing it.
Yeah.
That would be a big brain move. So this next story presented. I'm going to be honest. This story presented a bit of a problem for us, and when I say us, I mean the ChillPoint writing or presentation team, because it is a great story that Nelson wrote this great story, and it's a funny thing about this idea that the idea of Chapel Rowan appealing to Fortnite to have a skin in Fortnite.
On an interview with the BBC.
Because apparently she's a big Fortnite player.
All right. Okay.
And so there's this idea, and I mean, not only have there been lots of musical performers in Fortnite, but I mean, she's got a look and like she's got that sort of larger than life style of all her the costumes and stuff she's worn that she would like fit perfectly in. So it would make sense. But myself and Graham and Kathleen, none of us are
As big a fan as Nelson is.
Yeah, I mean, she, I like, she does great stuff. Fully in favor. I'm just not that familiar with all her lyrics.
Sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Whereas I don't know if Nelson had to look stuff up or whether this was all like immediately available to his. But he had this great thing, going through all these lyrics, and I love that in the comments are like about evenly split between like people being like, I love the Chapel Rowan story.
Yeah.
And people going like, I don't know what was going on with that story, but I gather it was lyrics.
Yeah, I mean, Fortnite-wise, the thing I've been seeing a lot of clips of recently is they put Hatsune Miku in Fortnite, so there's just all these clips of her running around shooting things and then running into other Hatsune Miku players, and then they just dance at each other.
Yeah. There's
Hatsune Miku will not kill Hatsune Miku.
I wouldn't say that.
There have been a lot of GIFs released where it's like a dude was running around and he got hurt, and a Miku came along and picked him up and carried him to behind like a stairwell and dumped him off, and he was hurt, but he couldn't like recover. And so then she just started dancing and doing a concert, and another Miku came along and started doing the same thing, and then a third one showed up and started doing the
Yeah.
same thing, and they were all dancing
They all
and
start
syncing
together.
and like doing a live concert, and then one of them pulled out a gun and just killed him. And it was like, okay, that's one way
Yeah.
to go in Fortnite, I
The
guess. Last thing you
Last
see.
thing you see before you die.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's Hatsune Miku for live concert. It's kind of great.
You will go to heaven before you go to hell.
She probably just sings "My World Is Mine" before taking you out.
But anyway, yes,
She's not in Fortnite. Is the
she's
skin,
not currently in Fortnite. I agree with her that she should be in Fortnite.
Yeah,
I think she would be an excellent addition to Fortnite.
she's very visual.
Apparently her current preference is the Ariana Grande skin.
Well, yeah.
But anyway, so yes, please put Chapel Rowan in Fortnite, you cowards.
So Fortnite proper though, or Fortnite Festival? Because I feel like
That's
she
true.
could really easily get into Fortnite Festival.
She could definitely, but I mean, considering she does play the like fighting part, the shooting part of the game too. She should probably get into that too. I mean, does like Snoop Dogg and Ariana Grande, do they play Fortnite? Like, I feel like actually being a Fortnite player should get you some clout.
So, okay, by this logic, if I never play Fortnite, I can never be put in Fortnite?
I don't think that's how it works.
Dang it.
I'm pretty sure Goku and Optimus Prime or whoever the hell they put into Fortnite are not.
You're going to tell me that Goku doesn't play Fortnite?
Yes, I am going to tell you that.
Vegeta plays Fortnite.
Oh, Vegeta definitely plays Fortnite. And
Yeah.
so does Piccolo. You know Piccolo definitely does.
And then we have story and want to shout out to. So that previous one was Nelson, and this one was Cameron wrote this one about the GDC state of the game industry survey. So this is something that they do every year, where they attempt to survey as many developers as they can. In this case was 3,000. Obviously, there's a self-selecting bias here. It is 3,000 developers who choose to fill out the GDC survey.
There were definitely a couple people in the comments who really wanted to explain how statistics worked because of the story. Boy, were they really long, annoying comments to read.
Now, and at the beginning of it, Grammar says, and Cameron wrote, there's a bunch of statistics about what percentages, mostly American, mostly men, non-LGBT, or different percentages for different things. Which, and again, like I saw some people in the comments being like, "Whoa, what's the problem with that? That doesn't seem very." It's like it's not a problem or not a problem.
This is a thing that happened.
It is just what it is. For what it's worth, it has diversified, I guess you should say, since the previous one. Like it's actually, there are more LGBTQ people involved in the industry than there were previously. Stuff like that. So that's good.
But what we're getting from this too is it's like the survey has had. It says, it's 3,000 developers. Well, I mean, technically, that's what your survey now is that whatever you started your survey with the idea of, you send out to a whole bunch of people to be like, I want you to fill this out. What you got was roughly 3,000 people came back. It's like this survey is of a cross-section of people of these specific demographics, and now we use that to understand what's going on in the greater game development industry.
Right.
That can only give us a sense of what's going on up to a point. It's like you always have to be like, there's going to be some error bar stuff in here because it was 3,000 people and it wasn't 30,000 people.
But some of the things that they did take away were, like, for one thing, the 1 in 10 developers had been laid off in the past year. Not great.
Not great.
I don't know. They didn't. The particular thing didn't say how much that had changed from previous years, but
Yeah, and this is from people who are still working as developers.
right, that's true. If you've been laid off and are living in the woods somewhere, you probably weren't filling out that survey.
Probably not.
If you're farming, you're not hearing about this, maybe. So anyway.
The largest area where people were laid off was in narrative, which again, not great.
No,
Yeah, I could see that.
that's just an idea guy, right? Yeah.
Yeah. The one of the big things was AI stuff.
Yes.
So, say the industry push into AI has maybe cooled off a little bit. The percentages have dropped. Developers who feel that that AI has had a positive impact has dropped from 21 to 13, and the developers who say it's having a negative impact has gone up from 19 to or 18 to 30. So it's gone. Obviously, those numbers don't need to work out to 100%.
Well, they don't, because you don't
yeah.
necessarily have to. You can be neutral.
You can be neutral. Yeah.
I do have to bow out. I do
right.
have a pre-existing phone call.
All right.
But like I can see why you would have more people consider it having a negative impact, because if we consider the idea that it's not the technology itself that they're talking about, but the perception of it or how people are reacting to it, or like you can have a negative impact without it being,
and how it's sort of being implemented. It's like, AI as a technology is, has all sorts of different applications that it can be put to.
Mm-hmm.
But then, if you see that like where it is actually being applied is in areas that you don't think is a good fit, or you don't think is that much of an improvement.
Mm-hmm.
I know anecdotally, I have definitely seen, there was a big surge in sort of co-pilot type stuff. So like sort of AI, sometimes called like AI pair programming. So it's like programming, but you sort of with an AI, or like AI sort of helps you write stuff. That was like a big push maybe a year ago, and I've definitely seen a little bit of the sort of the bloom coming off the rose on that one. People are like, it's great as long as you have, but then like as as time goes on and people are actually like evaluating things, it's like I'm actually spending more time than I realized, like
fact checking,
fixing the code that the AI was writing. It doesn't actually save me as much time as I thought it was.
Well, because mostly what I see about it right now is people goofing on the use of AI in Google, because they have it in the search engine now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's things like it will try to claim that water can't be frozen at a negative degree because it freezes at this degree, and therefore at every other degree it's not.
Right.
Which doesn't make any sense.
It's that idea of sort of asking it certain types of questions it cannot.
Yeah, or it will tell you that it will tell you that a movie exists that doesn't exist. It will give you the whole plot synopsis, and then at the very end tell you that movie isn't out because it doesn't exist. It hasn't even been announced. But because it's grabbing information from all over the internet, it's grabbing false information.
Yeah, the idea
it
that
doesn't. It's not a good use for it.
Yeah, there are all sorts of interesting things AI can do, but some of the things that people want it to do is possibly a bad idea. Anyway. And then the final story was something I was actually talking to Beej about.
Mm-hmm.
The coming up is talking about the Switch 2.
Oh yeah,
Because,
the Nintendo Switch 2?
because what's exciting about the Switch 2 is that there's no new information about it until April. And so, some of the feeds that I have in my, list for things are stuff like, Nintendo Direct or Nintendo Life, whose their bread and butter is Nintendo stuff. So, they're making a lot of articles, and a lot of people, other people too. It's like until April, it's like every frame, it's like a minute and a half video.
Yeah.
That's all we got.
Yep.
So like every frame is being analyzed. What does this one mean? Does this extra button here, what could that button be for? Could this mean this? Could this mean this? Well, we don't know. And so like the number of articles that you can create with no actual new information, just different angles on this same like minute and a half video.
This is what makes I'm going to say content creation really hard for a lot of, like, see a lot of YouTubers who, like, and people talk about this. Oh, you have to make a YouTube channel that fills a niche. It's very specific. It does all of these things. And it's like, great. Okay. So you've decided the category of video games is too broad. So you'll just do Nintendo. You're going to have a hard time doing certain weeks. That's just a given, which means you get things like this where it's like they have to do the initial reaction to the thing, and then they have to do the analysis of the video, and then you have to do the, here's what some other people are saying, and do I agree with them or I don't? And it's like, originally, I think when you made a channel like this, you were probably really excited about video games and potentially even Nintendo. You're like, yeah, this will be fun. I'll talk about Mario Kart and people will like that because they also like Mario Kart. And now you're just like, I have to fill in 2 months about the Nintendo Switch 2 and no new information coming out.
There's Ars Technica is a great site, and it's a site that I get a lot of the best information that we get for ChillPoint and stuff will often come from Ars Technica. They tend to do the most in-depth reporting on stuff, or at least very in-depth. Like their articles about a particular thing tend to come out a little bit later, but will be have a deeper, lots more research and stuff. And they have great writers and stuff. But they had to laugh that they put out an article that was what we don't know about the Switch 2.
Yep.
And it was basically a roundup of all the things that are probably the case based on either stuff that is in that little demo video or industry stuff about like what chips are available right now and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. So things that are probably the case, but we don't actually know. That's a whole article. And a very, very well-researched article, but it's still like, okay.
Yeah, but like I watch a couple of Zelda YouTubers who clearly started when like Breath of the Wild came out, and they were able to do a lot of content for Breath of the Wild because big game, lots of little nuggets of things to like zap into, and you could feel them straining, waiting for Tears of the Kingdom to come out.
Yeah, any
little drop.
And then
to do a thing. And then sometimes because they started there, they could go back and do some older games. But they clearly they were like, but it's not new. Mm-hmm. Someone else has already done that content.
There's only so much stuff you can do.
And we thought Tears would come out in this year and we were all excited, and then it definitely got delayed. And now what do? I can't do more Breath of the Wild. I've already skimmed it for every piece of content I can. Content creation sucks. Long term.
And NTVCDM mentioning in our the mods have been actually great over the last couple months. We've opened up a place where they can give us ChillPoint tips, and they've produced some absolutely great stuff, and it's shown up there. And I saw something. I was telling Bijan, Graham, and Heather before we went online, along the same line as the Switch 2 speculation. There's a great article that was Square Enix confirms that Final Fantasy VII Part 3 will not be a PlayStation 6 exclusive. So the game that hasn't come out yet
Isn't going to
won't
be
be an
on
exclusive
to
to
the
the
system.
console that hasn't been announced.
Okay,
So,
good.
good.
Yes. That's news?
I don't know. I bet it's not going to be a PlayStation 8 exclusive either.
I mean, I remember, okay, so like the whole, when's the next Switch coming out has been happening since like
right.
year 2 of the Switch. And so, but people then were kind of looking for like the Switch Pro. And then we got like the Switch Lite, which I personally thought was really funny. And then, we get the LED and whatever. But there were definitely like Kickstarters for games that would every now and then get talked about because there was one game that was being kickstarted that said that it would come to the next Nintendo console. Like they were basically saying they didn't want to put it on Switch, but they figured they'd probably put it on the next one.
Right.
And everyone was like, this is the first game that's announced that it's going to be on the Nintendo Switch.
Like they don't have any
Pro.
information.
And like, they're just saying they don't want to put it on the Switch.
And to be fair,
this is a weird thing to report on.
To be fair, there were a lot of video game Kickstarters that pledged to, as like a stretch goal, to release on like the Wii U, and then because they were delayed in the how Kickstarters often
Called
are.
Bloodstained.
Yeah, it's like it's a little awkward now that we don't really want to put it on the PS Wii U anymore. Anyway,
I mean, I understand why you would make that a stretch goal for the Wii U because like the number of units out there does not suggest that that's a thing, a viable thing for you to do.
But and that was even like when the Wii U was a going concern. But like when the game actually came out a couple years later, that wasn't even like there was probably nobody even developing Wii U stuff anymore. So I don't know who you would even get to do the port.
I mean, it really didn't feel like that many people were developing for the Wii U in the first place.
That's true.
It was kind of
Wii U burn.
Nintendo Land for Switch 2, though, right? Nintendo Land was a good game.
Yes.
They don't have to give me a port. They can make new mini games and whatever for the Switch too. That would be fine. Because I don't know how you would port some of the games that they did for the Wii U.
All right, let's talk about a few things that there actually is news about.
Oh, okay, sure. We could take that tactic.
Like for instance, everybody remember Origin? As in the EA launcher.
Oh, okay. I was gonna be like Dragon Age.
No, it's just
like
EA,
which video game with the word Origin?
EA Origin.
Okay.
You may, if you don't remember the name, you might remember the sort of orange O icon.
Yeah, I think I had to download that for us to play
Origin?
a game once.
Yeah, and you probably downloaded it and installed it against your will.
Yeah, and
at
then
some point
got rid of it against its will.
So it was replaced by EA. What's it called? Is it just called is the new version just called EA Games?
That would be.
Oh, it's just called EA.
Oh, all right. So it's
The
like a game launcher.
EA
thing.
app.
The EA app.
Is their new version?
Right.
Is their new thing? But that was a completely different app than the Origin app.
Okay.
So basically, EA, Activision, Microsoft, that whole merger happened. Microsoft is like, we don't really want to support 32-bit app anymore, which is Origin is old enough that it's a 32-bit app.
Okay.
And so like, okay, we're gonna discontinue and stop updating Origin, which like people weren't using it anyway unless certain mods. So It was one of those things where you installed mods using the Origin thing was also how you installed mods.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're like, don't worry, you can just log into your EA account or your EA app account and this new app. All your games will be there. All your saves will be there, assuming it was a cloud saved game. If it wasn't a cloud saved game, you'll have to move it over manually.
Okay.
But we can't guarantee that mods will work because who knows what mods are doing. Like the game
Right.
mods are outside the purview of they're not supported, right? So they're like, whatever.
Okay.
So the
I
main
mean, it's
reason,
not like people like modding their games, right? It's not like mods make games easier or more accessible or allow people to know what choices they're actually making in dialogue trees. Nobody actually uses mods, right? So this isn't a problem.
hopefully it's not. I haven't heard anything about like high profile mods that have broken because of this thing.
I suppose it might not actually be an issue if people didn't like Origin enough.
I will say, yeah, this is mostly getting talked about. For instance, our Technica, as previously mentioned, RIP EA Origin launcher. We knew you all too well, unfortunately.
We're that
Origin-
one friend in the friend group nobody wanted to invite, but we had to because you had the better stacks.
All the sort of launcher apps that all the different big studios have, I feel like EA or Origin was probably the most the one that people disliked the most.
It is the one I heard people yell about the most.
It was quite crashy. And it had issues, and it would cause it would like having it installed would cause other problems on your computer. Ubisoft's app or Uplay, which was, and then now it's a different. I think they did the
it's
change.
a different now one.
Yeah, it
isn't
used to be called Uplay, and then they kind of discontinued the Uplay thing. Was also not great.
No, that's true. But I usually heard people bitch about Origin.
Yeah. Anyway, so and they hadn't released any games on Origin for quite a while. But if you were still using it for legacy games, it's going to be a problem. It'll be retired. I don't know what that means. But anyway, I mean, Epic is in a slightly different mode because it's not just Epic games that are on Epic. Like Epic is just a general store as well.
Yeah.
But and often, I mean, the worst thing, when you're a PC gamer, the worst thing is you have like a game on the Epic store, and you launch it. That game has to launch the Ubisoft launcher, and then the Ubisoft launcher has to launch the actual game.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get like 2 or 3 deep.
Oh,
Like sometimes like I like to use the Play Night, which is like a third party thing that consolidates all your app stores. But then you sometimes you have the situation where that has to then launch EA or has to launch Epic, and then Epic has to launch Ubisoft, and then Ubisoft has to launch the
yeah.
game.
See, I really liked playing. I think it was Child of Light on the Wii U, because the Wii U at the time, if Ubisoft wanted you to like log in through Uplay and stuff, it kind of either didn't force you to, or it didn't exist, because I don't think it worked the same. Man, that was fun.
I've been playing. I was mentioning previously. I've been playing Assassin's Creed 4 remake or whatever on Switch, and it's funny because it has a bunch of like Uplay stuff in it. But Uplay, I don't know if Uplay is like done or like gone, or whether it's just not connected up or something. But it's got a bunch of Uplay stuff, and it's like this is connected through Uplay. You can just have it. It's like you have to get like 30,000 Uplay points for this, but you can just have it.
Like
Because I don't know how you
can,
play.
I can,
It's like we don't know how you play points.
I can
work
understand the whole like. I mean, I don't think it's a great idea, but I can understand the whole like we've set up an ecosystem, log into our launchers with your games because extra whatever's really weird point system stuff. I kind of get the point behind it. I don't think it's great, but I get the point behind it. When you make games that show up on like the Switch and it's like you can't play the single player game that you've bought unless you've logged into the Ubisoft account, I'm like, okay, so when Ubisoft goes down, this game doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
For that reason.
That's
weird.
Which is why they had to like pull it out of some of these older games. They had to just like take that part out because they were like, oh, actually, we don't want to maintain those servers anymore.
Yeah.
What
else we got?
Now, you may know
I might.
how you might know how impressive this is more so than me. So the PlayStation Tournaments XP just happened recently. It's a big PlayStation game tournament, and as part of that, they revealed a special. I think it's a custom built for this thing, Astrobot speedrun level.
Ooh. Fun.
And here, let me switch over to.
He flew across the world to get to this moment. Can he do it for his team?
Oh my god, it's gonna be crazy again. A big shout out to Team Asobi for this.
Oh wow, we're using the time clock.
All the pressure is on him. Let's see if he can keep his mental here.
And not only does he have
Excellent
to
announcers,
beat
by the
level,
way.
he has to beat a 34-second time set by Reese right by him. He's going for the
Oh,
he messed it up before, and this time it pays off. Will he be able to beat the 34 seconds in?
He is so close. He just needs to concentrate on finishing this. He's so close to the end. He's moving forward.
He's going on. Oh no! What time's it gonna be?
Oh no.
4-1, and I don't think he's done it. Reese has won it. I think Reese has won it. Reese had a bigger time, and no PlayStation Tournament XP champions will be Team Circle.
Excellent announcers, by the way. I love that the excitement in their voices didn't go down when they're like, he didn't make it. They're like, he's got to beat 34. He's got to beat 34. Did he beat 34? No, he didn't beat 34. That means that he didn't win. Good job.
Right? It's really confusing.
But anyway, that looks super cool.
Oh man.
Is-
Speedrun with the
is-
time. Oh, the timer. Oh.
Is speedrunning Astrobot like a big thing?
There's some speedrun levels that they've got in the game that I actually found were pretty fun to do. Which speedrunning's not generally my thing. They're a little aggravating at the beginning because you don't know what the level's like, so you're mostly just trying to not die the first time.
Right.
But in Astrobot, so there's like the speedrunning level specifically, what you're trying to run faster than is these two birds. I think one is blue and one is red, and one of them, if you beat both of them, then you get like a new robot
Oh, that's
for each bird you beat. And then there's like times. I'm pretty sure one of my friends has already outbeat me on the speedrun levels, but that's fine because that's.
Oh, is it like a leaderboard with the people on your friends list? Or
I
whatever?
think so. Or at least it sent me a notification that was like, this person defeated all your scores. And I was like, that's fine. I got the robots, so I'm happy.
I remember playing the like Kirby in the Forgotten World or whatever it is.
Oh, Forgotten Land?
Forgotten Land. And there's a couple of levels that are like racing levels where there's like a time. And I actually quite liked it because there's that thing where you drive it like this is when like Kirby like grabs a car, does the
Kirby.
mouthful thing on a car, and you drive it and like you do it like pretty well. Like you take all the corners perfectly and you go there and you're like, I got that like a good run there, and then you finish it and you're like
Third place.
you're like 30 seconds off the winning time. You're like, that's good. Like if I was 3 seconds off the winning time, I'd be like, ugh.
I
Now
clearly haven't like done
now
the
I have to
corners
like do corners. But
perfectly.
30 seconds
Yeah.
means that there's some big like there's a trick
there's
that
a
I'm
cheat
missing.
you need to find.
And then it turns out you can like jump over a thing. And
Oh
like,
yeah,
do
no. When you,
shortcut.
I really like the one where you end up, you're like, oh, if I just like jump across this thing and hit those boxes and go this way, I can shave off so much time.
Yeah.
So you spend time trying to do that, and for the first while, all you're doing is like falling down a hole.
Yeah. But like it's the thing where you have to like, oh, okay, like there's no trick to this. You just have to do it absolutely precisely.
Yeah.
Is not less fun.
The
if there's like no, there's a way to do this.
The Astrobot levels I have a harder time with for the speedrun stuff is the one that has the monkey power, because you use the monkey to grab onto these things on the wall and go climb up, and you move the controller this way
Oh, it's
to
actually
do
got
the
a
thing.
motion thing.
And so a lot of the time what trips me up is I don't make the hand go up and grab fast enough. I end up falling down a little bit. The power they were using there is this stopwatch thing, and it stops time. And it's really neat in some of the normal levels, because what you're trying to do generally is either stop stuff from going so fast that you can cross safely, or wait for like bullets to move so you can stop them, so you can use them as platforms, which is some of what was going on in there. And that's why I was like, oh no, not the timer, because that means if you're not constantly pushing it at the right time, you're probably just dying. Something is killing you.
Right. Nice. That sounds really good.
Yeah, it's a fun game. I think you'd really like it.
Yeah, I definitely want to check that out. Again, like I was saying, I'm playing Assassin's Creed 4, and it's that it's considered one of the best of the sort of original style of Assassin's Creed games, which are super fun, but there's certain amounts where they show their age, and one of the things that Assassin's Creed sort of innovated and sort of was the idea of this sort of free running, like you could climb up buildings and run around stuff in a really natural way. They didn't have to have like, this is a climbing wall. It's like you could climb, you can climb all sorts of different stuff, and you can jump around, and it's got a really fluid way of going.
It's what you want in that kind of thing.
Yeah, and that was something that they really did really well. But it shows its, especially in the older games, it does show its limitations, especially like in situations where you're trying to do like a speed thing, where you're trying to like chase somebody, or you have a time limit or whatever, because it's really into like the fluid animations and stuff. And so you'll be like, jump, jump, jump. And then you'll be like a little bit off a jump, and you'll be like, jump, jump, jump. I'm going to jump this way now. Woo! Or like, I'm at the way top of a building, and there's a pile of, hay down there that I'm going to jump into, unless I'm not lined up properly, and then I'm going to just swan dive into the concrete. It's like, it makes really smooth, and your movements all seem like they connect together really well. But the side effect of that is that if it starts going in the wrong way,
sometimes you
correcting it, you sort of go like, oh no, shit.
Very smoothly
I'm going off the wrong way.
take a dive.
But anyway. And finally, there's a new Atelier game coming out, or Atelier game, which I don't know.
It's like-
Atelier?
Atelier is the
I think
it's the
sometimes it's-
pronunciation that sometimes they have in the game.
Which has got to be
But
wrong.
Atelier is how you pronounce that word.
It should be Atelier, right?
So
Anyway, the new one, Atelier Yumiya, Alchemist of Memories and the Envisioned Land, which doesn't improve things. But the important thing is, now my experience with these games is limited solely to opening cutscenes while doing Unskippable.
I think I've only seen the gameplay for maybe the beginning of 1, and it kind of just looked like a walk around, pick up stuff, visual novel maybe style narrative.
I think there's
more
pretty
to it than that,
RPG-ish. Yeah,
but-
I think there's some there's combat and stuff.
Yeah.
But I will say so yeah, it's we did a lot of these on Unskippable. I think basically every one that came out while we were doing Unskippable.
I've definitely seen this name
Was-
pop up a lot.
Yeah. And I saw this one and I was like, wait a minute. So, cute girl running around doing alchemy is sort of the thing.
Yep.
But this, so she also has very, very short
A
skirt
lamp for a friend.
and has a lamp for a friend. Like all the best young children. Vast field gimmicks.
Oh,
Her. So lots of running around, and she has a motorcycle.
wait a minute. Did they just make Pokemon Scarlet and Violet?
I mean, maybe. Wait, yes, she has a motorcycle. Okay, yes, maybe it's just Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
But like without the Pokemon?
But yes, Atelier game with motorcycles. I can kind of get behind. I don't know if this
It
is.
doesn't look bad.
I don't know if this is a character that has. I don't know if Atelier Yumiya. I don't know if Yumiya is a person that has shown up previously. But anyway,
I don't know enough about the Atelier games to know if there's like an overarching narrative where they're like connected, or
I think
if it's just kind of like
they might be sort of more like the Final Fantasy games. Like they're sort of similar.
same kind of world and stuff, but different pockets of places. And
Yeah, different kinds of games, but they don't follow a narrative arc. But
Okay.
I might be wrong about that.
Let me know in the comments below. To be honest, if you really like Atelier, tell me what the timeline is.
And are you excited about Atelier Yumiya? And is it actually supposed to be Atelier?
Well, I'm going to disagree with you on that one if you tell me it's supposed to be Atler, regardless, which is fine. But, you do you. I won't be down on you for it because they say it that way in at least one game. But I don't have to agree with you.
Yeah. Atelier. Anyway, that's all the video game news that I wanted to talk about today. If you haven't seen this week's episode of ChillPoint, you should do that. It is up on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/LRRVG. And if you want to do some research after it, I guess go listen to some Chapel Rowan songs.
I guess.
Otherwise, you won't understand all the nuances
Oh,
of the
don't.
Chapel Rowan.
No, don't fall for that. I did that with
Fortnite
Dune.
story.
Don't fall for this. It's a terrible, terrible lie.
Things that have a deep and rich narrative structure. Dune and Chapel Rowan songs.
I read Dune so I would understand the memes. I didn't need to read Dune to do that. They weren't that good of memes. You don't need to listen to music you don't want to listen to. I mean, you can.
You don't
But
need to
you
listen to
don't
music
need
you
to.
don't need want to listen to. No, that is true.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for watching, and we will talk to all y'all later. Goodbye.